We are just under 48 hours away from the Cowboys' first game of the season, and all of that negative offseason talk is going to be put to the test early against the Browns. People have talked all offseason long about how bad the Cowboys' running back room is, how thin their wide receiver room is after Ceedee Lamb, how Dallas should have done more in free agency. We've heard it all, but there are 3 Cowboys players in this game that I think could silence a lot of these criticisms in week 1. So let's talk about 3 guys that I think could surprise everyone against the Browns. Let's get into it. Going into year 3, Jalen Tolbert has just 24 career catches for 280 yards and 2 touchdowns. And with the Ceedee Lamb contract stuff throughout training camp and the preseason, his development has kind of flown under the radar as this team's 3rd wide receiver. And honestly, I think I'm falling for the training camp hype. With Gallup gone, Tolbert is stepping into his role as the 3rd wide receiver. Last year, between him and Gallup splitting reps, the wide receiver 3 got 93 targets. Gallup had 57 of those. Tolbert had 36. We saw those 2 guys splitting those reps mainly because Gallup's production was kind of falling off a cliff. But now, those reps, those 57 targets are wide open in this offense. Now, in week 1, the Cowboys need Tolbert to step up. And in this game, he has a chance to surprise people with how much he has developed. And maybe even prove some people wrong because they're not buying the hype. The Browns have Greg Newsome as their slot corner, Denzel Ward and Martin Emerson Jr. on the outside. Cleveland can match up with some of the best wide receiver rooms in football. We know that Lamb is going to get a ton of attention and safety help from the Browns defense. Cooks is going to get his fair share of respect on the outside because of the speed. And with those 3 corners and Grant Delpit over the top, it's probably going to be a struggle to consistently move the ball through the air. But Tolbert could make that a whole lot easier. With Lamb going from outside to the slot, back outside, Tolbert's going to get a look at a ton of different matchups across the board. As I said, I imagine that Lamb is going to be the focal point for Cleveland, and Tolbert as a 3rd-year receiver with less than 25 career catches probably doesn't worry the Browns all that much. But that leaves the door completely open for him to be a factor in this game. Without Michael Gallup and another proven veteran wide receiver on the roster, Tolbert's going to get a ton of snaps behind Lamb and Cooks and in those 3 wide receiver sets. And with the way that Dak Prescott talked about him throughout training camp, it seems like he's going to look his way a whole lot more often than we saw the past 2 seasons. Plus, you factor in how much he's thrown to Tolbert throughout training camp, I have to imagine that that connection is so much better than what we've seen. No one is expecting Tolbert to break out and have a big game or big season because he just hasn't made an impact yet, and we're already in year 3, and usually wide receivers by this point have already broken out or started to fade from the league. But against the Browns, if he can be that 3rd down option, win his one-on-one matchups, make plays when this offense needs him, he could be a big piece in the Cowboys getting a win on the road in week 1, but also in games moving forward. And honestly, they're going to need him big time. Last season, Hunter Lipke carried the ball just 6 total times for 19 yards, and that seemed reasonable. An undrafted free agent from North Dakota wasn't gonna get work over Pollard or Dowdle. Plus, he's a fullback. But now in year 2, although he's still at fullback, I think he becomes a bigger part of the Cowboys offense, which isn't saying a whole lot because he carried the ball just 6 times. Me and Foots talked about this in our video that we did together. I think the offense has things planned for Lipke, like him catching the ball out of the backfield, short run game stuff in the red zone, using him as a lead blocker on runs. I think there are more opportunities for him this year. I kind of expect a lot of people to be surprised by how many snaps and opportunities we're seeing him get. I also think people are going to be surprised by how well he's going to play, how much more confident he looks carrying the ball, being a part of the offense, both as a lead blocker, a pass catcher, a short yardage back. Hunter Lipke was not a name that we mentioned a whole lot last year, but I think there's a world, especially in week 1, that people are pleasantly surprised by how much he's getting to play, how much the Cowboys are using him, and the impact that he can make as a fullback. Now, we've talked about the Cleveland secondary a lot. They have plenty of defensive backs to cover on the back end. Add in the fact that they have Myles Garrett, Cedarius Smith rushing the passer, throwing the ball It's not going to be easy. And if Dallas wants to win this game, they're going to have to run the ball well. And I actually have a video coming out on that particular topic. So if you're not subscribed and you want to see that video, go down there, click that button down below, join the family. We're trying to get to 40,000 subscribers. It would mean a lot. Now, let's get back into it. One way I can see the Cowboys clearly losing this game is if their run game just completely sputters out. And that makes me nervous, I can't lie. But I also think Rico Dowdle has a chance to not really shock me, people that are Rico believers like myself, but kind of put media talking heads on notice with how he performs. And I know I've talked about how good the Browns defense is, how good their corners are, and all of that, but there actually is some light at the end of the tunnel. And here's why I think Rico could have a pretty good game and allow the Cowboys to do more things on offense. Last year, the Browns defense gave up the most runs of 20+ yards, allowing 18 total runs of 20 or more. They were giving up explosive plays on the ground at least once a game. In 2023, the Browns gave up the 12th most yards per carry at 4.3 yards a clip. Now, an interesting stat, though, is the Browns also allowed the fewest runs for a first down in the NFL last year. So they were giving up kind of explosive plays about once a game, but they also weren't letting teams rush for first downs. I don't know, it's confusing. But what I take away from this and the Browns defense and their 2023 numbers, the Cowboys are going to have a chance or two to break out a big run, and Rico is going to have to capitalize on those opportunities. Sure, there will be some lulls in this run game, but if 2024 is anything like 2023, there should be some chances in there for Rico to bite off some big chunks of yardage, to pick up 5, 10, 15 yards on a carry. If he can capitalize on those few opportunities, I think we'll feel a lot better about Dowdle being this team's running back one, the running back room as a whole, and I think people will be surprised that the position isn't actually that much of a problem. And maybe they give the Cowboys a little bit of flowers for re-signing Rico and keeping him around as the potential RB1. But that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed, if you're excited about the Cowboys game week 1, head down there, hit that like button, and subscribe to the channel. I love you all, and I'll see you next time. Bye.